So, ladies and gentlemen, Jimena is about to come on and share some gold with you about marketing, about LinkedIn, about generating some leads. Let's go. Let's grow that business. Before we dive into that, let's talk about the sponsor message. If you are an influencer and you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed, lost, not crystal clear on your purpose, living with that fire, with that clarity, with that momentum, join me on the 21-Day Challenge. It's a one-on-one accountability program where you'll get crystal clear on your long-term goals, break those down into bite-sized steps so you understand what you're supposed to be doing every day. I'll hold you accountable to it every day. You'll dial in your daily routines and a lot of other amazing things that help you make the most amount of progress in 21 days while feeling fulfilled and happy and full of joy and accomplished. That's the 21-Day Challenge. Message me, chris@beyourgps.com if you want to find out more, or find me on Facebook or Instagram and say, 21-Day Challenge, tell me more, Chris, and I'd be happy to do that. Next up is the iTunes Review of the Week, and this week it's by Lauren Mushu. Let's pull up that iTunes Review of the Week. Lauren says, great work. I'm so impressed. I've yet to listen to all the episodes, but this podcast is gold. Practical, relatable, inspiring, and uplifting. Chris is super committed to his craft. His energy is off the charts wonderful, and he's truly magnetic. Highly recommend. Thank you so much, Lauren. I appreciate you. And if you are out there, you're listening, you're watching, keep tuning in to become your greatest possible self. Go ahead and go to beyourgps.com/iTunes. And you'll find the podcast, or search Become Your Greatest Possible Self on the iTunes store. Go there, subscribe, give us a rating, let us know what you think, review the show so that we can grow and make it even better for you in the future. Let us know what you love. Let us know what you want to see improved. And thank you so much for that feedback and helping us grow. Look forward to seeing your review and reading it on one of the future marathons. Now, I told you about this woman, Jimena Cortes. And there's so many awesome things to say. And before I say them, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, be ready to take notes. This interview, this is going to be so full of gold. She's a powerhouse. She's a firecracker. She is, oh my gosh, like going to bring the value for you. So make sure you're ready to capture, ready to take action on it, because what good is information unless you actually apply it? And be sure to stay through all the way till the end, because one idea has the power to change your life forever. So be ready for that idea in this interview with Jimena. Let's introduce her, and we'll bring her on the screen. Jimena Cortes is an online marketing consultant and author who has been featured on entrepreneur.com and Forbes.com. She is the founder of Wizard Media, an online marketing agency that helps businesses generate leads online through search engine marketing and LinkedIn lead generation, providing an average ROI of 300% or more for her clients. Jimena has grown her company primarily through using the power of LinkedIn, which helped her quickly grow her company. She also trains entrepreneurs, sales executives, and other professionals how to generate leads via LinkedIn through her online training course. And that is just the tip of the iceberg, ladies and gentlemen. And Jimena is here with us today. Jimena, you ready to rock this, girl?
I'm ready.
Yes, we're now live on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. Thank you so much for being here. You're radiant, beautiful, and we're going to have a lot of amazing value to give to our audience today. So thank you for being here.
Looking forward to it. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we're going to dive right into the theme of the day, which is what turns you on. So Jimena, how does this question show up for you in your life in terms of bringing you alive, your passion, your purpose? What turns you on, Jimena?
You know, I'm a very goal-oriented person. So whenever, I'm always writing down the things that I want. And I find that the more that I write them down, the more that they actually happen. So I guess what turns me on the most and just kind of keeps me going, is always creating new goals and then achieving them. And then once you mark something off the list, just going to the next thing. Because I feel like if you don't have goals and if you're not striving for something, then you're just kind of bored. You're just kind of going through the motions.
Floating along.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's so important to have that destination, It's like because how can you know if you're on track, right? Like when you say turn you on, are you on the track? Are you on the course? Are you achieving? Are you moving towards or moving away from something? And how can you know if you're moving away or moving towards unless you have that end destination clearly articulated, described, or at least a general idea that you're moving towards, even more clarity moving forwards.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've got some pretty big goals for this year, so I'm
Yeah.
excited to tackle them. And every day, I'm working. Well, because I also like read them every morning. So before I start my
Yeah.
day, in
Yeah.
the morning, I look at everything, and it excites me for the day. So that's just what I'm working towards. And I've noticed that days that I don't do that, it's just like a kind of like a crappy day. It's
Yep.
just kind of
Yep.
dull.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you get to prime yourself in the morning. Like, how do you turn yourself on every day? There's one thing for like, how do you turn yourself on in life? Well, you start with today. And I know when we had our dinner the other week, it was amazing. Shout out to Clinton who got us together, Clinton Senkow from Influensive. Like I could tell that you were someone who did personal development, who did the habits, who did like the daily work and like the little things. Yeah, I could just tell. Like you're like a powerhouse, like a boss babe. You got your stuff together. Like there's an energy, there's a vibration that you're doing the work.
That's good to know.
you radiate. It's confidence. Really like you have your confidence because your company's growing. You know your goals. You know who you are. You know who you're not, and you're not like you don't associate with anyone who sees you or tries to like bring you into a different version of who you are. You surround yourself with great people who you lift up and who lift you up together. So I think it's a no-brainer what you're creating because you know who you are. It's crystal clear. It's awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So let's dive into who you are. I mentioned it in the intro, but in your own words, who are you and what do you stand for, Jimena?
That's a good question. I mean, there's so many facets to who I am. Do you want like the business answer or do you want like the personal answer?
Let's do personal first and then we'll do business.
Personal first? Okay. I always want to lead with business, but I'm glad I asked. I mean, I think personally, it's kind of cliche, but I think I'm a really good person. I'm always looking to help people wherever I can. I'm very empathetic to people. So I have to also be very careful with that because you can really like take in someone's, negative energy and then it just like messes you all up. So, that's there. But I'm just somebody that, I'm always looking to learn, looking to grow. I just love to, spend time with the people that are important to me. And I have found that, in the past, I would have a lot of people that were important to me.
Yeah.
The older I get, the smaller that number becomes. And you know what? I like it that way because I know that those are true friends and people that I can count on. And then likewise, they can count on me because we have that, mutual understanding.
Yeah, I hear family is a value. I know with my girlfriend who you met, like we don't need numbers. We don't need to have a big quote unquote list of friends who I know this person. It's like that's great and all, and who's going to be there for you when you're sick? Who's going to be there for you when you're hurting? When you're upset? When you're afraid? It's like those people who really matter to you when times aren't so great. That list is typically pretty short, and I think that's important to recognize those people and to celebrate them and really value them and tell them how much we love them and how much we care about them.
Yeah, that's definitely very important. But on the other side of things, like I love being social. Like I'll go out and I'll usually be the life of the party. I'll network. It takes me a little bit to open up, but then once I do, then it's all good.
You're a firecracker.
Yeah.
I love it.
So, I think that's kind of in a nutshell, I guess, who I am.
That's awesome. Super cool. So that's the personal side. And then Jimena, how about the business side? Tell us about that.
The business side, I think is where I really relate the most. As far as my business, I've had my company for, almost 8 years now. And so during that time, I've definitely learned a lot. I've learned a lot about people and employees and expectations and just how to run a business, which has been really difficult, but also really fascinating. And I feel like that's why I'm really so excited about this year because I have so much experience now and I know exactly where I'm going and I know exactly how I'm going to get there because I've been doing it for so long. And I'm able to now sit back and realize where I might have messed up in the past. I took my eye off the ball, was trying to do too many things. And so then the results were not as good. So I think I've really come full circle and I'm seeing my company already starting to grow much faster than before because I already know what I need to do and I'm focused. This is it. I'm basically just work all the time. I think I told you that when we talked last week. You're like, what's new with you? I'm like, nothing. I just work.
Well, it's like you mentioned, you love to help people too, right? And some of the most fulfilling work when you are a business owner is serving your clients. They almost become like family, after you've worked with them. I think you were mentioning one of the people who do like SEO with you, or with you for like 7 years, right?
Yes. So I have a client that, he's been with me actually almost 8 years, because he was one of my first clients.
Wow.
So he's still there. He's referred me business. And then as far as, so the client-wise, I've always been able to get really good results from my clients. That's never been an issue as far as what I do. Because, I do LinkedIn marketing on one side, and I do search engine optimization on the other side. I started out in the SEO side of things. But so for the most part, my clients have always had really good results. Where I've had challenges in the past has really been with employees and the team and things like that, especially in the beginning, because you don't know like how to manage someone. That's a whole thing in and of itself. But I think now, I've got a good team. I've got people on my team that have been with me from 2 to 5 years. The core team has been with me that long. So I figured out how to keep people and keep them happy. So that's good. And I just recently hired somebody else who's the project manager, kind of like VP of operations. And I worked with him in the past. He was working at a different company, and he really knows this stuff. So I'm really excited to bring him on board in this time where we're really growth focused. And, the clients, I have some clients that have been with me for a couple of years that they want us to do additional things that we don't do. I have to say no, because it's not in our wheelhouse. But they want you to like just run everything, like just run their whole company. But you have to, kind of say, hey, these are my specialties. I don't want to come in and do all this other stuff because I don't have time.
Right. And that's where the power of having relationships, being a networker, like you said, to outsource and delegate to different, experts and professionals. Like, hey, like, I appreciate you thinking I would be a great fit for this, and I know the perfect person who would be amazing at it. Let me refer you to them, Yeah,
I do that a lot, actually. I'm like, hey, I don't do Instagram, but, this person over here can do that for you, or Facebook, or like this kind of stuff. So, yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. So, Jimena, I want to go back into the journey and talk about how did you start working with LinkedIn and doing ads and doing SEO? Like, what really brought you here? How did your professional career evolve, so to speak?
So I started working, way back in 2008 for a friend of mine who started an ad network. So he kind of got me into the whole online marketing, internet thing, right? And so from there, I had other jobs where I was a media buyer for a while. I was running a really, really big budget. It was anywhere from $200,000 to $400,000 a month. So that was a really exciting position. But while I was there, I've always had the itch to start my own business. I had my own business before, and I was very, very young, like right out of high school. And it did well, but then me and my partner stopped getting along. So then that was the end of that. But I always knew, like, hey, eventually, like, I just can't work for somebody. This does not work for me. So what I decided to do is I figured, okay, the two most powerful skills you could ever have are sales and marketing. You can do that. You can be in any freaking industry you would like to be in. You can do that, because most people can't do that. So I figured I'm going to learn this. And so that's what I did. I had different jobs where this is what I learned. And then I started really getting into SEO, because I started thinking, when is the most powerful time that you could possibly show up? Right when someone is looking for what you have to sell.
That's right. When they're like, how do I get this? How do I get this result? Oh, I have a solution.
So if somebody is looking to buy red shoes and I sell red shoes, my website needs to come up when they type in red shoes. It's just how it is.
That's right.
So I thought, you know what? I'm going to learn this, because that sounds really exciting. So I did, and I got really good at it. And I was like, okay, well, I could probably do this for people, and they would pay me well. It's very powerful. I'm good at it. And then I'd have my own business again. So that was like the thought process. And so I did that. But what I didn't realize when doing that is it's great to be, good at your craft, this SEO, and that's bringing in traffic and leads. But the other thing I didn't really have honed in at the time was how to sell. So, I started going to networking events and doing all these things, trying to get clients, and I was really falling flat on my face. I was like, oh my God, I don't think I'm going to be able to, I'm going to have to go get a marketing job. Like, what am I going to do? So I actually started looking for a job, and LinkedIn was one of the sites I was using to do that. And I noticed, the people that at the time I wanted to do SEO for, which was doctors and lawyers, there's freaking thousands of them on LinkedIn.
Yep.
So I thought, how can I get these people's attention? And so I just started connecting with them, sending them content, telling them how I can help them and things like that. And that's how I got that first guy that's still with me today,
Wow.
an attorney. And, he signed up within 2 weeks of me doing that. And I'm like, okay, I don't have to get a job now. So let me just replicate this.
Yeah.
And I did. And I just kept doing that. And that's how I got all my SEO clients.
Wow.
So fast forward to, 2014. Right, so I've been doing this for myself for a couple of years. I created a course teaching people, how to generate leads on LinkedIn and all that kind of stuff. And one of my friends was like, hey, I have this launch coming up. I need you to do my LinkedIn marketing. And I was like, I really just do that for myself. You can buy my course and then your team can do it. And he goes, no, you have to do it. And I go, okay, fine. It's going to be $5,000. I didn't think he was going to take it. And so he took it. And I was like, oh, crap. I got to do this launch for this guy.
I should have done 10.
Well, I know, right? So he pays, and I'm like, oh, God, I have to do this. So I did it for him, and it went really well. Wow. And then he decides to start referring me business as far as LinkedIn was concerned. So I'm like, okay, well, I can't do the work all myself because it's just too much. So that's when I started hiring, and I built the team that I currently have, which are freaking awesome. I love them. And that's, how I got started.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I love how you mentioned sales and marketing as those foundational skills. Like no matter where people are, no matter what you're doing, if you have those two, like you are a valuable asset. You're like a freaking weapon in a business, because you can pay for your salary, for your wages, whether you're an entrepreneur or your employee. Like when you can generate revenue and it brings in customers, it brings in the clients, like that's paying for you to be there, and you also can get a percentage of generating that business. And I love that you like started off just mastering those, and then you started saying, okay, like how do we deliver this on a bigger scale? You had someone come to you, you did a course, it's just like the evolution is beautiful. That's awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So moving forward, after you started working with that one client at 5,000, like how would you say your business evolved and, doing the lead generation with LinkedIn, how did that evolve? And then also if you want to transition us into like, what do we need to know to be able to generate those leads and have LinkedIn be an effective client generation, revenue generation platform for us? How do we do that?
Yeah, so the strategy has definitely changed over the years because the platform itself has changed. Yeah. But what's really happened is we've just gotten really processed out. Like everything is, we don't leave any stone unturned, right? And so I've got the team is split. One thing I learned a while ago is I had a guy that I was having him like run all my SEO stuff, and the thing that where I messed up with him was I taught him too much. I taught him everything, the whole thing. So what he ended up doing was deciding that he was going to start his own business. He decided to contact all of my clients and offer the same service for half the price.
Wow.
So I literally that day lost like half my business.
Wow. So I'm curious, how do you know how much to teach someone versus too much?
Well, that's what I've done now. So, kind of what I was getting at is now I've got a team that does step 1 and 2. And that is all they do. That is all they know how to do. Yeah. They're not taught anything else. You do this. That's it. Yeah. And then to finish the rest of the campaign, I've got another person, and they do this part.
Awesome.
And that is it. They don't know how to do anything else. They don't know how to sell. They don't know. It's just they have to. They can only do their part. Yeah. And so I've split up the work.
Yeah.
And so now I've never been able to. I've never experienced that again. But I've also got a little bit better at hiring. Like, make sure that you have people that want to be employees, not so much,
right.
Want to take your business kind of thing. So,
yeah. Well, it's interesting because I think in the beginning, when you're being an entrepreneur, you also attract other entrepreneurs and other people who like have skills and things that they can bring to the table. And you're like two entrepreneurs saying, hey, we could do some awesome stuff together. And that evolves. And at a certain point, there's two entrepreneurs who both want to take the lead or take the company in a certain direction or whatever it might be, or think it should be done different ways. So I think that's a interesting, evolution that probably a lot of people go through.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, now, I don't tell everybody how to do everything I do.
Right.
They just need to learn their job, and that's all they do, and that's it. And I try not to put too many different types of tasks on one person. I'll just hire somebody else for that task.
Yeah.
So that's really been helpful.
Yeah. This is super important, because we do have a lot of entrepreneurs who are growing into, six figures and beyond. So it's like that is something I think that's key for someone who's starting a successful business. I don't think people learn that lesson unless they've gotten to hiring and partnering and building something that can get to, $500,000, $1 million a year. Like, okay, to get to that point, you really got to start having a powerful team. And when there's a powerful team, there's also powerful individuals. How do you get all the individuals to work together? How do you be a good leader? How do we all lead the ship in the same direction? That's something that's not taught to us in school.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to have processes in place.
Yeah.
So processes has really been the biggest thing. And I'm a salesperson. Like, I love to sell. Like, that's where I shine. So if you have me sit down and write out a process, you might as well be like slitting my wrist. Like, it's not work. So what I did is I hired people that actually enjoyed that painful task. And so that's how I now have processes in place.
Wow.
Because I hired other people that I knew had those skill sets, and they've actually, the reason why my team has been with me so long is that same person that wrote out a lot of my processes, he did the hiring. And he found these people. I mean, of course, I approved them, but he did all the preliminary steps because he knows how to do that stuff. That's not my wheelhouse. And a lot of people think that they have to do everything and they have to learn everything. No, just do what you're good at. And as you make more money, let other people that are good at what they do, which you suck at, do their thing. Because if you try to do it, it's going to take you twice as long, and it's not going to be anywhere near as good.
That's so powerful. I love it. So in terms of LinkedIn, what do we need to know to be effective at generating leads? Like, what's the foundation for that?
Well, definitely the foundation is your profile. So, unfortunately on LinkedIn, most people use it as kind of like a resume. They just put it out, here's everywhere I work, this is what I do kind of thing. I mean, how many people are there out there that sound just like you? There's probably thousands, especially those of us in marketing. Oh, I do SEO, social media. Like, okay, that's super boring. Who cares? So, you want to use it more like a sales letter. So, for example, if you go and you look at my profile, all the jobs I had in the past, you're not going to see them listed. You only see, I talk about my client results, because ultimately if you're talking to me about doing marketing, that's all you care about. Like, if I pay you, what am I going to get? What is the result? What is your track record? So on my profile, that's really what I talk about. And I also talk about other things that increase your authority. So, I mean, some people watching might think, okay, well, I'm a new business. I don't have any results. You have to have some result. I mean, what have you done in your life that would make you stand out in one way or another? Because, people, if you're going to start reaching out to people and your goal is to get clients, right? You're going to reach out. What's the first thing they're going to see?
Your profile.
Right. So you need to think about your profile kind of like your dress or like your suit when you go to a networking event. You want to impress. What can you say about yourself that's going to impress your target audience? And so doing that, is huge, because we'll typically get about a 20 to 30%, sometimes higher, just depending on the campaign, 20 to 30% acceptance rate from all the connects we send out. If we don't do this profile optimization, that drops down to about 10%. So you're missing, 2/3 of your leads right there.
Yeah, and that's what people normally do, is they just kind of throw something together. They're not focused on, when someone comes to my profile, what are the elements in place that have them see me as an authority, see me as someone who's credible, see me as someone who can help them with their problem, and also builds a level of like relatability. It can't just be like, I feel like a stranger to them. How do I connect with them? How do I feel trustworthy to them?
Exactly. So, like, for example, I'll give you an example. So on LinkedIn, you can have a headline. This is what people are going to see when they see your picture right there. So rather than saying, CEO of XYZ company, why don't you talk about your results? If you read my headline, for example, it says lead generation expert gets clients ROI 300% or more using Google and LinkedIn.
That's
Now you know
beautiful.
my ROI, you know what I use, generation expert. So that headline alone gets people connecting with me and asking questions. And that's
Yeah.
what you want.
Yeah. So asking questions, it's like, okay, so you make, it's almost like the promise, right? Here's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the promise. Here's like
Mm-hmm.
how I do it. Or not so much how, but here's what you get. The what. The
Yeah, what you
how
get,
is,
the result.
yeah. So the how is what they ask about. It's like, hey, I saw you made this promise on your profile. That line, the 300,
Yeah.
300%. How do you do that?
Yeah, but you still don't give them the nitty gritty of the how. You say, look, we will do a campaign for you. It's going to look like
Mm,
this. It's going to cost this. Based on what you sell and you know your closing rate, you're looking at generating this for the business.
hmm,
So that's really how we do it. And typically with this process, so once we have the profile written, we'll connect to the target audience, and then we'll create a series of 3 messages.
okay.
And so those messages are written in a specific way. It's conversational. It's not salesy, because the minute you become salesy, your response rate is going to drop. And with that process, we're typically able to get anywhere from 10 to 20 meetings a month.
Wow.
Now, that might not sound like a lot, but you have to think about who we're reaching out to in a lot of these. So, we've got a lot of medical device companies that use us to connect with doctors or CEOs of hospitals. So this is not just like a lead. This is a very valuable person.
Wow.
We had one campaign, the biggest campaign we did in the medical space was for a radiology company, and they sell these machines that are, $400,000.
Dang.
So, in a 4-month period, we got them 24 meetings. Now, that might not sound like a lot. That was a very targeted meeting, and they sold 6 of their machines.
Wow.
So that's $2.4 million from the leads that we generated on LinkedIn. I did not charge these people enough, but it is what it is. I just have a case study.
I love that. So, would you say it really works best with people who have high ticket offers, or can low ticket offers work as well?
I like to focus on high ticket. Like anything, somebody sells something that's at least over $5,000 annually. So maybe it's,
Yeah.
they earn $500 a month or whatever from their clients, but they stay on for at least a year. Then it makes sense because you got to think about we're only getting 10 to 20 appointments per month.
Right.
So you have to make sure that the numbers work. If you're selling something that's lower ticket, like something that's maybe, I don't know, like a $97, $297 course, you wouldn't necessarily use this process, but you might use this process to connect with JV partners. So like one connection can equal 100 sales for you.
Yeah.
So then that's where things get interesting. So even like a lot of people, for example, somebody that owns a product, right? A lot of people don't know how to get their product into Walmart or this or that. Well, why don't you try reaching out to the Walmart buyers on LinkedIn? There's a whole
Wow.
bunch of them. I've actually done this research before.
Wow.
So yeah, you could be used for a lot of different things.
Wow, that's powerful. And I love how it's like it doesn't matter what the product is, it's more about who's the person that you're connecting with to get your product in front of the right people. Because if it's a low ticket item, then go after someone who can get you in front of volume amounts of people versus this process, which gets you the highest quality, connection, conversation, and those conversations are, the deal making conversations, which typically works best if it's someone who has the authority to make a really great deal, a valuable deal, like multiple tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Exactly. That's really where LinkedIn's the best. You have to think about, who do you need right now to get to where you are to where you want to go? And if they're not anywhere in your network, you don't have an introduction to them, this process is the next best thing of how to get through to them. And, you don't have to deal with any gatekeepers. And so I think that's also why a lot of our campaigns have been so powerful. We're connecting with doctors, investors, CEOs, CFOs. These people have secretaries and they're making sure that you don't get to this person. But if you can pique their interest enough with your messaging on LinkedIn and then you can get them to respond, you bypass that whole thing.
Wow.
Now you have a meeting with them, and the last step is really getting them off of LinkedIn and onto the phone to do that deal.
Yeah, Yeah. And it's with the power of social media now, like a conversation on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook, that's like one of the most personal ways to get connected with people, so that we can like bypass all the normal filters, right? The gatekeeper, the assistant, the secretary, all that stuff that's put in place in a traditional business, like how people would find a business, like, hey, what's this company, XYZ? Okay, well, I'm going to call them, or I'm going to go visit them. And what happens when you do that? You get the person who was put there to facilitate your probably annoying request, right? So it's like, to be able to get past that, that's, you know, saving time, saving money, saving energy, just like totally getting to the cream of the crop to get to the top.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm curious, how does content play into your strategy? Is it mainly just like through the messaging? Is that the biggest way that you support your clients?
Yeah, we mainly do it through the messaging because, you know, we're really trying to get that appointment. So you can create content and post it on LinkedIn, and people log in and they see it on your newsfeed, and that's fine. But a lot of people are not going to see that. A lot of people don't log in every day. So if they get this message from you, then you have a higher probability. So, I mean, we don't really post content. I started getting requests for that. So I think it's probably something we're going to start doing, just because some clients are requesting that we post their articles and whatnot. But we send one article in the first message, and then the second and third message, we really make a case as to why we connected and why we'd like to get on the phone.
Yeah. And I'm sure as you grew your business, you're like, hey, what are the essential processes that we need? One article and get them into an appointment, right? Like that's the thing to create and to build. And so as time goes on, you're seeing, hey, we're serving that already. We're you know, delivering with the appointments. Now this person wants to build more authority. They want to, you know, attract more people. They want to, you know, whatever, grow their profile, however that is. And content, people keep saying content is king these days. So they're like, hey, Jimena, how do we do the content too? More content. And you're like, well, I used to only do this process with setting appointments. And when enough people come to you with the same request, you're like, okay, I better build out a process for that. So it's like as time goes on, you get to see what are the processes that need to be in place for you to get to your next level too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. Where do people mess up when it comes to LinkedIn and getting appointments scheduled? Where are they usually making mistakes?
Well, it just comes down to the copy and what you say, how you say it, in what order you say it. So, you know, there are times when, you know, we'll get a client, we'll write the profile. The profile they usually always like. The messaging, though, a lot of times, because like I said, ours are very conversational in tone. We get the point across, you know, what we're going to talk about on the meeting, but we are not being salesy. So a lot of clients, they want to write those messages like they're writing their website. And, you know, I cringe, but, you know, it's their profile, it's their messaging. So I always say, okay, look, you know, you hired me to do this. This is what I recommend. Been doing it for 5 years, you know, as a service. We'll use your messages. When they don't work, I get to use mine. You got 2 weeks to use your messages. They're like, fine. And so then they fall flat on their face. And I'm like, okay, now we use my messages. That's what we do. But yeah, they just try to be super salesy. Like, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to buy it? No.
No. Oh my gosh. And what would you say, what's a fundamental part of building that rapport, building that trust with them in those messages?
You mean with the people that are getting the messages? Like the
yeah. So like when you talk with your clients and they say, and you develop these messages, what's in those messages, more or less like the principles that connects with them?
They're very result driven. So I always ask about, you know, what does the target audience care about? You know, if for example, if it's a marketing company, people are going to care about what results you've had in the past. So like my messages talk about some of our past results very briefly. It's just one sentence. They're going to talk about like I talk about my history in the first message, and I give them an article that talks about either LinkedIn marketing or SEO, depending on who I'm targeting. And then the next messages, I'm like, hey, you know, I do this. I looked at your website. I think you could use some help here and there. You know, if you'd want to talk, I'd love to explain it to you. Let's schedule a meeting, that kind of thing. I mean, that's really, they're short. You don't want to have more than 5 short paragraphs with like a couple of sentences each. Gotta get to the point.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like the more writing, the more intimidating it is, the more it seems like it's canned and not custom, right?
Yeah. So a lot of people think these messages are custom, and they look custom because, we even have and I don't use any software, so it's all my team doing this. Every time I've tried software, we've fallen flat on our face, and LinkedIn doesn't really like software. They change their API to do all these things to make your life difficult. So we just have a team.
Yeah.
So, but in some of the messages, like we'll put in bold, like put the company name. So we're putting their company name in there. We're putting their name in there. So they look very personalized, and it's not a salesy message. I'm like, hey, I connected with you because of this. I serve people in your industry. These are our results. I think we can really help you. Are you open to a call? I mean, yeah, why not? I'm open to a call. That was a nice way of putting it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And of course, you're going to get no's. There's going to be people that are like, oh, no, thank you. But that's it. They say no. You stop messaging them. Leave them alone. They don't want it.
Yeah, so it's being direct, it's being real, and also not being salesy. It's not trying to go around it and be weird. It's like, hey, listen, this is what we do. I'd love to talk to you. Are you open to it?
Yeah, basically.
That's awesome. I'm curious, in terms of your own personal growth, what have been some big things that have helped you like jump to your next milestone or next level of success in your business? I know you mentioned a team, the processes. Is there anything else that stands out for you?
Well, for me, I think those were the hardest things to really do because they're not my strengths. So I had to hire it out, and I think the biggest thing was just even recognizing that, because for the longest time, I did try to do that myself.
Yeah.
And I was clearly hiring the wrong people. My processes were awful, so people would forget to do things. So it just wasn't working. And I was like, I was hitting my head against the wall. I'm like, I need somebody that can just do this. Like, I'll teach them what it is I need done, and they figure it out how to get everyone else to do it. Yeah. And that's exactly what I did. And so now, like, if I do need to hire somebody new, I just go back to that same guy and I'm like, hey, I need to hire this kind of person. Can you handle it? I'll pay you for just the hiring. And that's how we set it up. Awesome. But it's really, actually that book that I bought for your girlfriend, that one I think was huge for me, just really realizing like where you're at and based on your personal skill sets, how to get to the next level, because your skill sets are different. So your path is based on those. And I think really finding out about yourself, like where you need to focus and where you don't, I think that's huge.
Yeah, I started reading it.
Did you really?
Yeah. I was like, ooh, this is awesome. She's like, okay, I'll read it. She's like, put it on her to-do list of reading. I was like, I'm going to read this if you're not going to read it right now. It's the Millionaire Master Plan for everyone who's wondering. And it's an awesome book to just like go from, being wherever you're at. Basically, it starts at people who are spending more than they're bringing in. And, just like the ship is sinking, right? Like how to get out of that position and get back to like breaking even, and then going all the way up to being like a world changer, leaving a legacy, and building massive amounts of wealth and impact in the world. So it's awesome. I think it's Roger James Hamilton. Is that his name?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
That's
it. Yeah, it's great book. I've only read like I think 2 chapters up to past read. I was like, oh, this is useful. This is cool stuff. And there's so much.
Did you take the test yet?
I did. I'm a Dynamo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm like the ideas person. You're the blaze. So you're the connector, the people person.
Yeah.
It's so cool though, because there's like these elements, right? It's the elements. There's steel. I think there's the other one's the wood, right? The tempo. So it's like these are elements that have been a part of our world and Eastern philosophy and like Asian cultures for a long time, and it's incredible how they show up in business. And I think I was watching one of the videos, and Roger says he goes to different rooms to work on different things when he needs different energy. When he needs to think and be super detailed, he goes into a room with lots of metal. When he needs to connect with lots of people, he has like fire in the room. When he wants to be the tempo and kind of work at something at a steady pace, goes into the wood. So it's just really, really interesting.
That's interesting. I didn't see those videos, but that's cool. I mean, I just do all my work from the same spot. So sometimes that works well, sometimes it doesn't. I start having squirrel moments.
And you also, I think I saw on your social media, you go on vacations as well. You definitely take some time to yourself and do
Yeah.
adventure. That's super important to you. At what point in your journey did you find out that that was like an important part to you, and that you wanted to like build that into your
Oh God.
culture, your lifestyle?
I think I was like 10 years old when I figured that out.
I love it.
Yeah, and that's just always been a thing for me. Well, because when I was young, I wasn't born in this country. I was born in Costa Rica.
That's
So my
awesome.
mom, we traveled as much as we could. We were very poor back then, but
Hmm.
we'd go to the beach and do that kind of thing. And I always felt the best when we were on vacation. So that was always very important to me. So when I started working, for other people, and then in this country, you only get like a week off per year. Other countries you get like a whole month.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, that sounds awful. I need to figure something out here. So having my own business was how I figured something out. And
Yeah.
right now I'm in such a growth mode. I don't have really vacation on the mind. I'm really just
Mm.
working, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing about it. But eventually I'll probably need a 1 week here. I last year I took so many vacations. I went to Costa Rica twice. I went to Europe for 3 weeks. I went to Hawaii, and then there was a few other trips in between. And so it got a little ridiculous. So this year I'm trying to stay a little bit more grounded.
Got a little ridiculous. That's
Yeah.
funny. So I think it's in moderation, right? And especially
Yeah.
you mentioned you're in a growth phase. When you're doing something you love and you're delivering results, and like you get pride from it, that is energizing in itself.
It
It's
is.
like oftentimes people want a vacation because they want a break to recharge, to get a different view, to just like regenerate themselves, to see life from a different angle, to break up the monotony. And so if you're delivering results and you're full of joy and excitement about what you get to do on a daily basis, then you don't need to disconnect from the source of whatever it is, the source of
Yeah.
passion, the source of joy and fun and growth. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and I found lately, I just recently took the sales over again. For the past 5 months, I had someone else doing my sales, and I just started taking over it again and talking to the prospects, and I forgot how much I actually liked doing that. So
Aw.
it's been really fun, just talking, because I meet all these people on LinkedIn. I get this is like, what I do for other people. Like, this is what I do myself to
Yeah.
generate my own leads,
Yeah.
and I just meet like the coolest freaking people because I'm being very targeted, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I talked to this one guy, I think it was last week. Huge company, huge like bio biopharmaceutical company.
Hmm.
Hundreds of millions of dollars in annual revenues. He was like, "Oh, this is totally cool. Like, we're just gonna do it. We're gonna do 2 campaigns." Like, it was like a 30-minute call, but it was just so cool. And it was so easy. We just got along, and I meet a lot of people like that. They work for like these huge companies, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, we never thought about doing that. Sounds good. We'll try it." I'm like, "All right."
That's awesome. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just you get to relate with people. Like I would imagine, like you see these people who are running hundreds of $1 million companies and who are interesting, who are fascinating, who are leading, who are in the leadership expert position of their industry, and they're just like us. And you have amazing conversations, and they
Hmm.
see the world from a different perspective, and we get to learn and grow and have those amazing relationships blossom.
Yeah, it's been really fun. And the other day too, it's so funny. I'm never off. I mean, maybe people can sense this about me right now because I had been off before, when I wasn't doing my own sales. But I was
Right.
I was literally at happy hour like 3 weeks ago, and some older gentleman sits down kind of like close to me, and we just start kind of bantering, just talking. I'm waiting for my friend. He's waiting for his friend. And then I told him what I do, and then he got all interested. So,
Hmm.
he just became a client a couple of weeks ago. So now we're
Yay.
doing all his SEO, his website, and oh my God, this poor guy, his website is so messed up. Like, the people he hired before, like, everything was broken. So we're having to
Oh.
fix like major things. But he's lucky he met me at the happy hour. I'm really fixing his stuff. But it's just like that. You just like go somewhere random just to have a drink, and next thing you know, you've got a client and a friend. Like, and now we've become friends. We went to
Mm.
happy hour again. So
Yeah. Wow.
celebrate fixing his website.
Yeah, and I love it too because what you do is the professionals that you work with, like you can meet those people like anywhere, you know, anyone
Yeah.
who has a solid organization, who's a leader, who's high up, who's an executive, like those are great people for you to connect with to make deals happen. So there's a lot of people around when you're, you know, in airports or flying or whatever it might be, you know, just starting up conversations. I'm sure you attract a lot of people who want to make more sales, they want to have better marketing, attract more customers and clients. So it's really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. That's awesome, Jimena. So as far as this year, you said you're really focused on your growth. What would you say is really working with you to stay focused and not get distracted with other things, with shiny objects?
Stay focused and not get distracted. It's a good question. Well, let's see. Oh, I actually have a pretty good answer now. I just had to think about it for a moment. Really getting into a routine. So, I mean, for me personally, and
Yeah.
this might not be like everybody's cup of tea, but like if I need to get up, I need to be out of my bed by like 6:30, but
Yep.
ideally like 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
I get up, I go to the gym, like a good 1 hour at the gym, and then I come home and I do my meditations, which is basically like looking at my goals for about 20 minutes. And then I start my day. So when I do that, like I get things done, things get knocked out, and I stay pretty focused. So I find that if I don't go to the gym, I'm a little bit more lethargic that day. Like I actually did not go this morning, so I'm feeling more lethargic than normal.
Wow.
So, so yeah, just doing that, and I've scheduled out my day. Like I know what I'm doing at what time, who I'm talking to at what time, and just really staying mindful of that really helps get things done. I also just yesterday went to this meeting for an organization I'm looking at joining, and they just invited me as a guest. But what they were doing was a lot of planning. So they're basically looking at, okay, what are our core values? What's like the 10-year goal? What's the
Yeah.
3-year goal? What's the 1-year goal? And then to like hit all these goals, what things do we need to be doing every 90 days that get us closer to the 1 year, to the 3-year, to the 10-year? So it's really starting at the this level and working your way down. And I think if you do that, you'll get excited and you'll get focused on what needs to happen, and you'll be able to stay on track to hit those milestones. If you don't do that and then you're just kind of like shooting from the hip, you'll end up somewhere, but it's, you know, like where are you going to end up? Like wherever
Yeah.
life threw you.
Yeah.
You know?
So I hear like a blueprint, a track to run on, you know?
Yeah.
Like where am I going to be in 3 months? Where am I going to be in a year, 3 years, 10 years? I've heard the Japanese, I think it's the Japanese culture, they have like legacy planning where they plan out their businesses like 25, 50 or 75 year, 100 years or some like incredible amount. And it's like, how do you even plan that far? Like who knows what kind of technologies are going to be there? Even 10 years, you know, like your business to plan 10 years for LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Who knows what is going to evolve with LinkedIn within 10 years? So I'm curious, how do you face that kind of evolution that will naturally happen?
Well, I mean, I've already been in business for, you know, about 8 years. So, and things have changed a lot during that time. I'm adding a new service that we haven't had before. So I think, you know, you just evolve with the times, and people are always going to need marketing. So I'm still deciding when I saw them doing that, the 10-year thing, I'm kind of like, I don't know what I want to put for the 10 years. I don't know if I want to still be doing this or if I want to sell, you know, 5 years down the line. Or whatever it might be. So that's something I still need to figure out. I definitely had the 1-year plan though, because I've always done a 1-year plan and then broke it down into quarters.
Yeah.
That I learned, there was a book called, I think it's a 12-week year.
Yes.
Yeah. So I read that and I followed that, and I've noticed that when I follow that, I actually get most of it done.
Wow.
But yeah, the 10-year, I was like, man, you guys are really out there with that. But it's just a short thing. It's just like a goal. Like in 10 years, how much revenue do you want to be making, kind of thing, you know? So that, you know, and how you get there, you know, if things change, if LinkedIn goes down and I have to go to a different platform, there will be another platform. There always is.
Yeah. And I think with the 10-year, it's almost like what is inspiring for you? What sounds fun at that point? Because it's like, the revenue, okay, like geometrically, how will it grow if you multiply it, a certain multiplication factor year over year kind of thing. And for me, it's like I'd say what would be fun at that period if our business evolved into a certain type of business or community, or delivering the value, if it could change the world in certain ways. How would we do that? What's my vision of the way the world would do business or marketing or sales or connecting on LinkedIn or whatever the social media is? It like starts becoming more of, hey, if I'm a visionary, what's the vision that I want to live into in the world?
Yeah, I mean, it could even be something like, be servicing 500 clients. That's a goal for 10 years. Or like in your case, have over 1 million people have seen my podcast. Whatever it is. So.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think for me, I'm excited because like I'm a very technology type of guy, so I see like augmented reality and virtual reality coming. So I think I might have mentioned it at our dinner, like mixing augmented reality and personal development. Giving people personal development devices. They put like contact lenses in. It helps them make better choices, different cool stuff like that. So I'm like, all right, 10 years, bring it on.
Yeah, I do remember that. That was quite interesting.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I think that's the cool thing with being an entrepreneur, being a leader, being the owner of your business. You get to call the shots. You get to say, this is where we're going. This is what inspires me. These are the values that I want to fulfill and see being lived in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's awesome. So if you could share one message with the world right now, if everyone was listening to this podcast, Jimena, what would that message be? What would you want people to know, be, do, have, or believe?
I would definitely want people to know that they actually can have anything they want. They just have to want it bad enough and plan for it. Yeah. It really comes down to like, you can't just like sit there. I mean, I do my meditations every morning, but you can't just sit there and pray and like, no. You have to want it, visualize it, have that burning desire, but then like, okay, what's the action plan for how this can happen? And when you have that like fire about you, life has a funny way of just flopping people and that you need into your life, because you're on that path, you're thinking about it, you're oozing that. If you're not oozing that, then you're just kind of, there.
Yeah.
So for lack of a better word.
Yeah, no, I think we talked about like, in the beginning, if you don't have that drive, that focus, right, you're kind of just floating around, and like we're circling back to what really turns you on. And I think that's what you're saying is like, find something that turns you on, find something that cultivates and keeps that burning fire, or grows it and expands it. Because if not, like, why are you here? You're not promised tomorrow. Yesterday's gone. So what the heck are you going to do with today? You're going to show up and live life to the fullest and love the most and smile and tell people they're amazing and just show up? Or are you going to hide? Are you going to play it safe? Or are you going to play it small? So you're definitely playing it big, Jimena. So I acknowledge you for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Cool. So we said that, hey, if you want to show up in the world, if you want to be alive, like that's finding your passion, finding that burning desire. I'm curious how you found something that really resonated with you so much that you're, so alive, enlivened by. How did you find that, and how can our audience get clearer on what's their burning desire?
I think initially it just started at a really high level. Like, I always knew I wanted to work for myself and have my own business, because I knew for me, income is very important. Like, I grew up very poor. Yeah. So like, I knew that, okay, I don't want that. That is certainly not how I want my life to look like. So what do I need to do to make sure it doesn't look like that? Yeah. And so I always thought, well, at a job, you're going to be kind of limited by what somebody else thinks you're worth. And then you technically only have one client. It's like your one job. So like, if they decide that they're done with you, now you're like stuck here holding the bag until you get the next one. So I figured, to be safest, have a lot of clients. Lose one doesn't hurt you as much as losing a job. And that I could, and that would be the path to wealth. So that that I figured out at a very early age because I had my first business when I was 18.
Yeah.
Then after that ended, I learned some lessons. And then when I was ready again, I decided I want to do this by myself on my own, no partners. If
Yeah.
I mess up, at least it's my fault,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And 8 years later, here we are, and I'm really thankful that I did it that way. But I think my desire was really just to have that freedom. I guess is what it comes down to. Like if I want to go to Europe for 3 weeks, I
Yeah.
don't need to ask for your permission. I just go.
That's right. That's
And,
right.
and pray to God that there's enough internet, because sometimes there wasn't. In Italy and in France, we were struggling.
Wow.
In England, it was okay, but because it was a struggle.
Dang.
So be prepared.
I got to be careful with my 12-hour marathons because there's a lot of data going with this thing.
Yeah, I think when you do your marathons, just make sure you're in London or something, because London had perfect internet. But
Wow.
I mean, in Paris, we were staying in this like 5-star hotel, and the internet went down for like 3 days.
Oh my
And the
gosh.
funny thing was, there was actually a Salesforce conference at the hotel while we were there. Oh, and there's a bunch of Americans. Oh, they were mad. They were so mad. They were screaming and oh, it was kind of funny.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. And you mentioned you came from Costa Rica, right? Do you have
Yeah.
any big cause or like impact charity, so to speak, that you're really standing for, whether it's Costa Rica or any type of communities that you really have like a soft spot in your heart for in the world?
That's something I've thought about, and it's actually on my goal list.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to do this just yet because it's going to take a significant amount of work and time and all that kind of stuff. But I eventually would like to have my own foundation, and I'm thinking this is probably 5-10 years down the line. It's
Right.
not right now.
Right.
But I have a foundation where we help women start their businesses and get the things that they need, whether it's like the marketing advice, the funding, the business plan. There's a lot of things that go into it.
Yeah.
And, I was lucky enough when I started, after my first business failed, I found an organization like that. They don't just service women, it's anybody. But they're a nonprofit, and they helped you with your business plan. They had all these experts come in and talk. And so through that process, I learned where we had messed up and what not to do in the future. And not that I was perfect in the future, there was still a big learning curve. But I think if you give people that help and that support, you'll have more successful businesses. And the more successful businesses that we have, the better the economy is. We can give people more jobs. People are more fulfilled. So I think that's ultimately the legacy and the impact that I'd like to leave.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've wanted to join some kind of like entrepreneurial nonprofit that helps people get their companies started and grow that, whether it's with I want to do specifically with like teens, if we can empower teens to become more entrepreneurial, that for me, that's like my soft spot, because I feel like being a kid was just like yesterday, and I love that that's a possibility, and I want to do more research on finding those types of communities and learning from them, because I'm not always going to want that organization to be able to call all the shots. They have a model. There's organizations that have a model, and I can go there and I can learn and I can say, hey, how can I help with what you already have? It's kind of like when you first start off in your career, some people go the corporate route, right? And they say, okay, I see this 9 to 5, I see Pepsi, I see, Coke, I see Microsoft. I'm seeing the structures and how things are working, the kind of processes, so you can see it from the inside. And then you say, and there's a lot of stuff I don't want, so I'm going to go build my entrepreneur business, be an entrepreneur, and I'm going to take the best parts of what I learned about the structure of the processes and systems and stuff like that. Similar with this, I think we can go in, at least it's my intention to go in and learn about what different ways nonprofits and organizations are running themselves to be able to bring the best back, not only to my business, but also to future foundations that we start as well,
Yeah. No, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And I think it's important. I think it's important to, once you figure it out, to help and give back to the people that are coming after you.
Yeah.
Kind of pay it forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jimena, if there was one piece of wisdom or guidance or core idea that you shared in this interview that you want to wrap up with, share that right now, and then we can let our audience know how they can stay connected with you because they want to know more. They want to know how they can connect with people on LinkedIn, get more appointments, get more sales, get more leads, all that good stuff. So let's wrap it up and share what the big takeaway is and how people can continue the journey with you.
I think I have 2 takeaways. Number one,
you're an overachiever, aren't you?
Number one, figure out what you want and just like get after it and be after it every single day. But the next thing is, though, if you are looking to generate sales and leads, do not underestimate LinkedIn. Like really go in there. I mean, if you need help, contact me. I'm happy to talk to you. But I mean, as far as getting high level, high value connections, people that can really take you to the next level, I haven't found a better way to do it besides LinkedIn.
It's the highest net worth network, right? Social network.
Yeah.
Like I think is it next is Facebook, and then after that is Instagram. There's I
believe so. Yeah.
There's a lot of kids on Instagram. So sorry, millennials, you're typically broke or in lots of debt. Facebook has like some middle-aged people who are just like looking at cats and stuff, and then LinkedIn has the professionals and the executives. So I agree with you there.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. So, Jimena, thank you so much for being on. Everyone who's listening and watching, how do they stay connected with you? What's the next step, Jimena? Where can they have a conversation with you?
The best way really is you can go to our website. It's wizardmedia.net, and you can just fill out the contact form and get in touch with me there. You can find me on LinkedIn and connect with me as well. And, I usually check it daily, if not at least 3 times a week. Awesome. So I will get back to you if you connect with me there as well.
Cool. Awesome. Jimena, you are amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the work you're doing, helping business owners, and your big heart, being consistent, doing the daily disciplines, and keep working hard because this work is a fruitful year for you. I'm excited to see what 2020 and beyond and your 10-year manifestation brings for you. Keep up the great work, okay?
Thank you. You as well.
Awesome. We'll see you soon.
Bye.